back and see us and maybe share it with us.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. You guys always have access to that.
Well, hey, we appreciate the fact that you've been a regular on the show since we first started, and one of our favorite guests too. It's always a pleasure talking with you. We're going to play another song now, and then I want to get on to a more serious subject than just the music. It might step away from the music just a little bit, but the effect is pervasive. We'll talk about that in just a couple of minutes after we listen. Tell us about Something Real.
Something Real was I channeled my inner Santana child. So it was just when we were working on the record, it was like, maybe we should do something with a Latin kind of flair to it. And I thought about my guys from this band called Vallejo, my buddies from this band called Vallejo, who have a lot of Santana vibes to them, and I wanted to do something like that. So that was the result of what we did. And a lot of people compare it to like what he did with Rob Thomas and things like that. So
it's an interesting sound, and I really like it. Hopefully our listeners will too. David Martinez and Something Real. Something Real. That's David Martinez right here on the David Bowers Award. David talking to us from South by Southwest, along about an 8-day function of music, mirth, and merriment. And actually, it's a salute to all of the arts. What else do they have going on down there, David, besides just music?
Filmed, interactive. They do premieres of movies and things like that. They also have the interactive with the tech companies, and of course we know they have the music. So It's a combination. It's actually 11 days, so it starts out with the interactive, and then
11 days. Okay.
Yeah,
I knew it was more than a week. I knew it was more than a week.
I know in the past Dave Grohl did a premiere out here. It was about maybe 3 or 4 years ago. I think he might have been Sound City out here. I'm not sure, but he was out here premiering a film that had to do with music.
And how many years have you been going now?
This is my 10th year.
Wow. I didn't know it was that old.
Oh, you've seen it grow then.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it started back in the late 80s or early 80s, something like that. So
wow.
And now it's grown to it's just a monster then. But I'm glad I'm staying downtown, so that was one of the perks of having fiance that works in the business.
Yeah, I can understand that. I'm glad you brought up the age and the magnitude and the scope of all that's going on there, because I've been hearing this year more than in the past. I know in the past, recent years, they've talked about the fact that the big labels and the money people had gotten more involved to the point where it might be taking a little bit of the indie luster off from it. But now there seems to be a new phenomenon, if you will, and that being the fact that the event is getting kind of politicized. Have you noticed any trend toward politics getting involved in it?
Yeah, I've noticed it, but personally, I really don't like it, because I think back to what Dave Grohl said. He said when I do a show, when I'm playing a show, it doesn't matter what your stance is. It's just that music's there to soothe you and get you through it, and And I mean, personally, I really don't like it, especially some of the people that bring in. It's just, but then again, Austin is not like Texas is a red state, but Austin is a blue city. So,
oh no, that's an interesting paradox. Yeah, that's an interesting paradox. I know. I heard a line that I heard just recently. I don't know, earlier today or yesterday, I guess it was. But it went something to the effect of. How do you know when South by Southwest is no longer relevant? And the answer is, the answer is when CNN is there running trivia contests.
Exactly.
I understand and I agree wholeheartedly with what you said and the reflections on Dave Grohl and what he said. I agree, and as anyone who has listened to the show and John and I talking will attest to the fact that I believe very strongly that we should separate music, the arts, and politics. And I do not go for artists using their entertainment stage for political purposes. I think that is totally wrong. There's nothing wrong with you having your political opinion. And if you go up on stage wearing I love Bernie Sanders or I love Donald Trump, that's fine. That's your opinion. You're entitled to it. But when you stop and make the audience sit through your speech, your ranting about your personal opinions, that's not what people paid to come and see. They paid to come and see and hear you perform. And have you felt the temperature of the other artists there? Are they feeling one way or the other about it?
Well, I mean, some people have their beliefs, but I really don't talk about it with any of the other artists. I mean, so that's not some. If somebody says something, I just kind of let them be. I don't interject and say anything because this day and age, these kind of arguments can turn into fights. Now,
oh yeah.
Well, locally, when I'm back in Corpus Christi, some of my dear friends, they have their beliefs, which are far to either side, which is, in my opinion, is not a great thing whether you're right or left. I mean, you got to have a sense of balance, and so it's just, I don't want to alienate people who listen to my music. You know what I mean? I don't want to do that. That's not. So
Sure, I agree.
Like you said,
it's like, well, John and I are a good example because John leans a little more to the left than I do. I lean a little more to the right than he does. And even though we've had some pretty good discussions over the years, we have put up with each other for over 40 years. And that's the way it used to be. Now, we're old timers. We've been around since the dark ages. And I remember, and I'm sure John does too, when we were kids and our parents were the political ranters of the era, it was a case of the right and the left were merely different perspectives of the same solution. Everybody was in it for the same reason. We were in the politics for the betterment of our community, our state, our country, whichever it happened to be at that moment. But we weren't out to kill each other. We weren't out to riot, to protest because the other side is a bunch of idiots or half of the garbage that's going on now. And I think the fact that it has started to pervade into South by Southwest is, I'm glad you brought that up because it is a very important point. The art is what is key. That's what this is all about. South by Southwest is not a political rally. It's not a political forum. It's a forum for the arts, and you're absolutely right. John Bon Jovial, you wanted to add something.
Yeah, David, since you are our eyes and ears there and have been for many years with South by Southwest, the politicizing of the event, which unfortunately I suppose was inevitable, in an ideal world it wouldn't happen, but it has. This being a year where you got a lot of these people running around, voting, say, vote for me, I want to be your next president. Is it more pervasive this year, the politics, than it has been in past years, only because of the fact that we're just coming off an election cycle and starting a new one? I've noticed it. I mean, but this is the thing. I've noticed South by Southwest becoming politicized, just in general. You know what I mean? It's been that way. It's been happening that way for years now. And I mean, this year it was. I think it was even more so that I've seen because they've had a lot of guest speakers. But like I said, they only give one perspective, which is, is the left. And if you're not of the left, what the heck do you want to even waste your time doing that for? And I mean, I would say the same thing if they just did all right, all right wing, and so it's like, have a sense. They need to have a sense of balance, which they do not have. Well, I think that David and I are a good example. I mean, David leans more towards the Republican side of things. I lean more towards the Democrat side of things. But we both like your music, and the music is the commonality. It's the common language,
and that's what it's all about.
And that's what it should be all about.
That's what it's all about. It's like this show is a music show. And John and I, while we have diverse opinions, he likes the Boston Red Sox, and I know that the Yankees are a better team than the Red Sox. But, we can come together on the music. We can come together and agree that the music is what it's all about. As a matter of fact, that's the motto of this show. It's all about the music and the people who make it. And that's the way I think it should be with an art event like South by Southwest. It's not a political stage. It's an art stage. And I'm glad you mentioned the point of speakers coming in. That was probably the most obvious way that a politicizing of that event would show. What are some of the other ways that you may have noticed the politicizing coming into and taking a little bit more of a front seat to the festival?
Well, it's just in general what's been going on. So I mean, it's like we mentioned earlier. You tend to see a lot more people, promoting their agenda, and mainly left wing. So
like I said again, if you don't go that direction, you know. But I mean, I've had people, you know, I've had people tell me, you know, hey, you know, this is